year 96 of the First Age. In the land of the ancestors, Chestianar, the presence of the glowing moon was so vivid atop the moon tree. It was there to witness the birth of Carina, the divine child, emerging from the soils of these grounds. The little baby bore a triangle in her forehead and was accepted by all the Gyarii around her as a representation of godly nature. Everyone was surprised and ecstatic, and although each one of the adults wanted to contribute to her growth and achievement of her destiny, Carina was assigned 2 mentors, Yolavantir and Asterios. Yolavantir, the prophet, was her teacher and the one to lecture her about collective knowledge of their people and spiritual concepts in order to perceive her divine nature. Asterios, the warrior, was her protector and was accompanying and looking after her wherever she'd go. He would play with her, tell her stories, and make her laugh. To Carina, Asterios was like a father figure. Eventually, the Gyarii had to leave their homeland and pursue their destiny towards the lands of the East. During their migration through the astral cave, Carina was slowly coming to realize how special of a case she was. She understood that everyone was treating her, consciously or unconsciously, in a different way in comparison to her peers, more like a precious relic and less like an actual person. Thus, she was constantly doubting if they were giving her true affection or were simply paying their respects and admiration to her divine nature. When one of the other children, Margot and Luminiella, would achieve something, the adults would pat their heads or clap their hands, and so the children's expressions were filled with laughter. With Carina, though, adults would slightly bow their heads, saying, "Keep up the good work." That feedback was leaving the little girl feeling awkward and confused. One day, after a strict lecture with Yolavantir, who was constantly pressuring her to obtain more knowledge and perception of the Star Deities, she sat on a rock, exhausted with Asterios. The 2 of them were isolated now from the rest of the group, and Carina wanted to express her frustration.
Say, Ashta, why does everyone treat me this way? Yolu says not to distract myself with such matters and just focus on my training. That doesn't help at all. I don't like him. He never answers my questions.
Yolavantir, huh? I assure you, kiddo, he wants nothing else but your own good.
Then he murmured almost to himself.
In his own weird manner.
Then Carina lowered her head in discomfort.
Ashta, is it the same with you? Do you just stick around because of my godly nature?
She raised her face again, looking directly at him with pleading, almost wet eyes, searching for hope. Asterios' mouth softened, and then he spoke in a low and comforting voice.
Kiddo, I love you with all my heart, as a parent adores his child. Don't let anyone make you believe otherwise.
Carina's lips tumbled as she was about to cry. Seeing her expression, Asterios jumped from his seat and puckered his chest. "And look how big my heart is," he said, with a proud and silly face. Then Carina burst out laughing. In later days, when Carina came of age, she settled down in the newfound city of the Gyarii, Yolenthia, the white lake down of the north, where it was believed that the soil was brimming with divine essence. There, a small shrine was built, which later was expanded into a grand astral temple and took the name after Carina herself. Carina devoted her life to the shrine, detaching herself from the outside world in order to perform rituals and meditations. By communicating with the divine and perceiving her nature, she was preparing for ascending into the skies and becoming a star deity. Asterios would come to visit ever so often, but he could spot little traces of the Carina she knew. That girl was now becoming distant, absorbed in her purpose. Asterios didn't mind her behavior, but instead was somewhat pleased to find her so devoted. After all, he was a warrior himself, and he understood the importance of priority when it comes to fulfilling a mission. When it came to protecting his people, there could be no distractions. In later days, with this mentality, he would lead the Gyarii in a glorious victory against the assaults of the Dark Realm, Aphelion. In the same manner, Carina was understanding and claiming her role as a beacon and guide for the Gyarii. Her light would bring hope and prosperity for the ages to come, as it is known that the radiation of the stars emits vital energy that descends towards the earth in the form of Astra, which was essential for the well-being of the Gyarii. Thus, Carina was feeling the weight of her responsibility. In the year 267 of the First Age, Asterios became 200 years old, still strong and mighty, as it is said that the Gyarii could live up to 250 years. Below the divine tower that was built by Iuna, the architect, Asterios met Carina for the last time. Carina was 171 years old by then, but to Asterios' eyes, she was still young-looking and graceful. Asterios was supposed to leave for a secret mission, a mission he might never return from. And so, Carina made him a parting gift, a star-shaped necklace filled with her essence that would guide him and bring comfort wherever he was. At that moment, when Carina raised her head and looked into his eyes, Asterios could finally find the traces of the innocent and sweet little girl that he knew. And thus, it was the first time a tear ran through his cheeks. Carina then spoke the final words to him, which would be engraved in his memory and soul forevermore. The moments we shared, the memories, I treasure them like the most sacred relic in my soul's temple. You were the one to give me love and affection, put aside my godly nature, and saw me simply as a person. Our fellow people would always respect me and acknowledge me, but never come too close, afraid of what I might do, of what I might become. And now I shall ascend into the heavens and become divine. After all this time, I think I might be ready to embrace my destiny. I shall become their star, the one who lingers in the sky to guide them and offer comfort. But you, my dear Asterios, you will be my own star. And even if you wander to the edges of the world, you will still be with me. For you are the light that shines in my heart forevermore, the hope that will never, never fade away.